Yeah, in the back. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I also wanted to thank you. It is a fantastic presentation. I think Dan's was best, but that's because I wanted him to put me on Politics TV. So, what I wanted to ask, it would seem to me that as this evolves, and it's an unbelievable revolution, I would think that it would have to change, or that maybe it would change, how much advertising there is on television. And if that were the case, then the amount of money you'd have to spend on advertising would be so much lower, and you could use the campaign dollars for something else. Or not have to, it wouldn't be as expensive. And just wonder what your thoughts are on that.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, they're definitely tracking the advertising dollars moving from television over to the internet. At the same time, there's an awful big audience watching American Idol. So it's really a fine line between where are you going to be able to reach the people and what dollars you're willing to spend to do it. I mean, it's funny, on the cab ride over here, I was talking to a fellow, and he was telling me, I said, hey, so are you interested in politics, or what do your kids do? Oh, my kids love animals. And they're always on the Discovery website, and they're always watching about animals. I said, well, what about politics? And he goes, actually, I'm starting to do that now. So he was moving in that direction. I said, well, do you watch television? He goes, no, we just watch videos. I thought that was kind of interesting to hear that he wasn't a television watcher, that he was getting his information from the web, and that was where he actually, was trying to find the information. That's where he would watch a political ad.
Well, and you can use the television.
True. Yeah.
One thing I was going to bring in, I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, I mean, it is that whole lean back versus lean forward dynamic, which is when you're watching television, you're leaning back and you're passive. And when you're on the web, you're leaning forward and you're engaged. And that's definitely a different relationship with your media and how you respond to it.
One thing I was going to bring in, and Sash, wherever, whenever you want to be. I was going to bring in the new Apple TV, which isn't taking off quite like the iPod, but then again, the iPod didn't take off quite like people remember. It took a little time, which is kind of Apple's answer to the TiVo, where you can download any video podcast, shows, so forth. So like Hotline TV, which we produce for National Journal. You can actually download that and watch it in HD full quality. The video on demand world is here. Now
can you explain Apple TV just a little bit?
Sure. I mean, Apple TV it's very similar to TiVo, or a lot of folks here have Comcast On Demand, and that's essentially what it is. Except that rather than working through the TV, you start off working through iTunes, pick shows you want to download. Once it's downloaded, you then just use a remote to throw it to your TV box. So the convergence, the long talked about convergence of the internet and TV is happening slowly, slowly, slowly. It'll take a while to merge, and certain demographics will be early adopters and adopt faster than others. But there's no question that will have a big impact. NPI's talked a lot about the TiVoization of politics and what that means. Now that said, I think it goes to Pete's presentation, that the Google guys are going to figure out how to make people watch some ads as part of these videos. You're seeing the short TV ads, the 10-second pre-rolls and so forth. They're being inserted now in ads, and if it's, but I also think there's going to be the bigger market for the bio spots that Jeff's shop and Phil's now will put together. So it'll be a new creature, but it won't be so radically different from the politics we have now.
I think there's also one other thing kind of on that. There's a new site, Ustream. Have you guys been on it? Ustream is essentially YouTube, but for live action, and it requires the same tools that Dan was demonstrating, a $300 camcorder. And essentially it takes everything that's happening live and streams it onto the internet. So people can produce their own TV shows. People could also produce their own ads for it. And I assume that once it leaves its beta phase, people are going to be looking to advertise on it. And I wouldn't be surprised if campaigns started doing webcasts from it of their events, other things like that.
I mean, the Juiced I was talking about earlier, which is the Skype guys, they've already lined up Coca-Cola, Nike. These are all major advertisers who have come on board and partnered with them. So they're there for that technology. And that technology is one step above what we call DV Res. So it's good-looking video, and it'll be out there very shortly.
I just want to jump real quick on the advertising thing on YouTube. I don't think you can underestimate the difficulty that they're going to face. I think that they're probably the smartest guys to figure it out. But what's going to happen is if there's a pre-roll clip, 10-second clip, it's kind of annoying. You see something come up for some gum or something like that, and you go, well, instead of uploading my video to YouTube, I'll use Blip TV or I'll use Bright Cove. There's a ton of them out there. So I'm really interested to see if they're able to pull it off. I hope that they do in some ways, because I think advertising is important, and you need to have a way to pay for it. But it's a real big challenge.
It's just worth reiterating that point that we've been talking a lot about YouTube just because it's in everybody's mind's eye, but as Phil rightly points out, there's all kinds of these sites. And in fact, some of the ones that were shown, I noticed, were coming off of Bright Cove and others. You can see, you can tell there's a little bit of an interface difference that if you're familiar with them, you know which ones they're coming off of. But by no means just don't think this is a big advertisement for YouTube.